Hello grade 6. The next few activities all have the same deadline of Thursday the 2nd of April. What this means that you don't have to do all of them on the Thursday or all of them on any other day, but you can now spread these out across the next 4 lessons. The reason that I say 4 lessons is because lesson 1 and 2 was the power activity and the diary entry. You still have 1 more lesson this week and then 3 lessons next week, so that creates 4 in total. There are 4 activities that you need to make sure that are done by Thursday. One of them is ongoing. So the first one is the newspaper article, which I'm about to introduce to you on the next slide. The next is the Common Lit assignment that I have just sent out to all of you. If you have forgotten your Common Lit password and username, do not worry. Send me a message and I will send you the details. You have 3 SPAG exercises. All of them are on your OneNote in the SPAG folder. However, they are also at the end of this PowerPoint. So if you are having issues again with OneNote, you can complete them. Complete them on this PowerPoint and upload the PowerPoint to ManageBack instead. Okay, so instead of sending me a Microsoft Word document every time you do an activity, just edit them on this PowerPoint, and then that will avoid lots of different documents that become confusing. And then finally, the ongoing activity, which you should be doing every week, if not every day, is reading The Witches. And I would like you to make sure that you have done a minimum of 40 minutes. So 10 minutes for lesson 3, and then 10 minutes for each of the lessons next week, which creates a total of 40. I have just put on this PowerPoint here, as you can see, a suggestion of how to manage your time. You do not have to follow this, but you can if you want to. What you may want to do is begin the newspaper article activities during your lesson 3 and complete one of the SPAG exercises. Up to you which one. I would suggest that you start with the correcting the sentence first and follow the order of them, but it is up to you. Then next week, continue to write your newspaper article and complete SPAG exercise number 2. Lesson 2, you'll have another online lesson with me. For any questions about the activities so far, any work you need to complete, or any further work that you would like me to send, and then complete the Common Lit assignment, because we will not have an online lesson for the whole hour. It will probably be about 30 minutes, so the other 30 minutes you can complete the assignment on Common Lit. And then the final lesson of the week, complete your newspaper article and upload it to ManageBack, and then complete the 3rd and final SPAG exercise. Now, we as a school are operating on a 24-hour communication policy. What that means is, if I want you to finish the task by Thursday the 2nd of April and I've put 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then you can, if you need to, upload the work by Friday 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because some of you may be on different hours around the world and therefore you will be getting up at different times. If by Friday at 3 p.m. you haven't uploaded the work, then that's when I will contact you to make sure that everything's okay, that you've been able to access the work, and that you are actually learning from home. Okay, so let's start our newspaper article activity. We've not done a newspaper article in school yet, so this will be new for you. However, again, it's a creative exercise. The most important thing that I can mention about this activity is that you are making sure it looks like a newspaper, as I will be assessing you against Criterion C producing text. So if you just send me a plain Microsoft Word document, you won't be scoring very well on understanding the codes and conventions of newspapers. Now, this activity can be differentiated in terms of you creating a printed newspaper or you creating something that looks like an online newspaper. It is totally up to you. All you need to do is simply go onto any news website, so Telegraph, Gulf News, Guardian, Independent, the National, and look at their online websites and copy the layout. You can print screen and you can play around on Microsoft Word or on Canva or Seesaw or whatever you prefer. If you want to create what looks like a printed newspaper, which is what these two are printed, then as you can see, you'd get your Microsoft Word document. Maybe you would print screen or create things from the internet or use your Microsoft Word text tools, and then you would have your main article here. One thing I want you to make sure that you can see across both print and online is that they always have an image for a front cover. Okay, so I want you to make yours a front cover page story and make sure that you have an image. Make sure that you are referencing if you're copying an image from the internet. So the first activity, just before that, the major learning outcome is that you're writing an 8-paragraph newspaper article. Now, before you panic, look at this newspaper article here. This is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. This is paragraph 3. This is paragraph 4. This is paragraph 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this one has 9. As this, I believe, is a small image, is just explaining this photograph. Okay, so newspapers have very short paragraphs. So when I say an 8-paragraph newspaper, I'm not asking you to generate something that is 2 to 3 pages long. Okay, so let's just confirm and clarify that before we begin. However, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to think of 3 things that have happened in the play, The Demon Headmaster, 3 events that you could write a newspaper report about. Now, I've added this to your OneNote. So on your OneNote page, you could simply write the 3 events. So it's like your copybook and I can see what you're thinking about as you're going along. If your OneNote is not working, then you can write the 3 things here on this PowerPoint. Okay, so this PowerPoint is going to be uploaded to ManageBack, so you can download it and you can simply insert a text box and write the 3 things. Okay, OneNote is preferable, so OneNote I want you to try and use first. But if it's not working, as I've had 2 students tell me that for some reason their OneNote is just not working right now, then do it on this PowerPoint. Okay, so what features will you need to include when you're actually producing your newspaper front page? The date. The date's going to be very important, and you can make it whatever date you want. If you want to go back to the date that the play was published, or if you simply want to use one of the dates over the next few days, that's absolutely fine. You're going to need a headline. Okay, so if we go back to these 2 examples here, the headlines are very obvious. They're in a much larger font and they stand out from the rest of the article. You're going to need a picture. We've just discussed that. Now, if you want to really get better with your photography skills, then you can, of course, create your own primary photo. You can use lots of different websites and picture clip art tools. You could even try and take a picture of yourself in your uniform, etc. If you're not able to, you may take a picture from the internet, but I must see a reference underneath that shows that you realise you have copied it from somewhere else and that it's not your own work. You then need a caption, okay? Now, what I mean by that is, again, we'll just go back to here. This caption explains who is in this photograph, and to here in very small font, it will be explaining what's in this photograph. So under the pictures in newspapers, it explains what's happening in the image. Okay, I'll give you some more examples as I'm going to upload some website news pages where you can look at those for more information. And then subheadings. Okay, so subheadings quickly explain what's happening. So if we just look at the subheadings here, this is a subheading. Inferno is sparked by, I don't know what that says, Dozy Baker. Thousands flee from huge blaze. Okay, so this is the main headline, but these are then subheadings, okay, or subheadlines. All right, so you can have a go at trying to create one of those. And then, of course, your main story and your second story in columns. Now, actually, columns only relates if you're trying to copy a print newspaper article. Okay, so look, this is a column, this is a column. This one has 3 columns. If you're copying an online news story, so let me just come out of my and go into Telegraph. going to go to the Telegraph for a minute. Let's avoid all of this stuff. Let's go to everything is about okay, let's talk about clothes and sharing. So a happy story. Okay, you'll notice that there are no columns on an online article. It goes down the page. So if you want to copy the online, then this is how it looks. Okay, here is sort of the headline. I would say this is not the most amazing headline. Here is the date. Here is the image. Here is the caption for the image. So it explains to me this is Nina Schenkman and her mother Jet. Here is the subheading, okay? And then here is the rest of the story. All right, so I will share more of these examples for you. And if anybody is confused about any of this that I'm discussing, then when we have our live lesson next week, you can ask me more information with specific questions when you actually get to start it. Okay, so let's move on to headlines. Headlines are very, very important in news, and they're very sensational. They like to use a lot of adjectives and words that are quite emotive and dramatic to obviously catch the reader's attention. Why do they do this? They do this because they want to sell. They want to sell newspapers, they want to sell stories, and everybody loves drama. So the more dramatic a headline, then the better. Not always is this positive though. So I want you to have a go at creating your own headlines, okay? And here are some examples of dramatic or emotional words like crisis, drama, clash, fury, battle, row. Alliteration is also quite sensational if you're able to use it. Pick up a penguin, for example, and of course rhymes or half rhymes. Now here's an example from a newspaper article that I found this morning. Great Barrier Reef watchers anxiously await evidence of coral bleaching from aerial surveys. So there, they've tried to use anxiously to create that dramatic emotional impact. And then they've obviously tried to get some alliteration in anxiously await to again make this headline slightly more appealing than just Great Barrier Reef scientists await evidence, you know? So here are some headlines that I would like you to change to make them more punchy and more attention grabbing. Pupils found on island, school trip turns bad, and plane crash leaves pupils stranded. So what I want you to do is, if you go back to the previous slide, you can use some of these examples if you want, okay? Or you can use a thesaurus to find other synonyms to make these slightly more dramatic. If you want a challenge, then try and use an oxymoron. An oxymoron, I don't think that we have covered this yet. But an oxymoron is a contradiction of terms. Like jumbo shrimp or break a leg. So if you want to, you can research oxymorons and try and put an oxymoron into the headline. This will be on OneNote as an activity, but if you are unable to access OneNote, then simply delete some of these here if you want to. Keep this. Sorry, pressed a button I shouldn't have. Keep this, make a new text box, 1, 2, 3, and then write the 3 subtitles here on this PowerPoint, okay? Now, the opening paragraph, I'm going to have to do in the next video, as these videos are only allowed to be 15 minutes long with the tool that I'm using. So I wait for the next video for your opening paragraph activities.